Hi, Sarah. How are? Is my mic working? How you doing, Sarah? Yeah, that's. Hi, Sarah. My mic working. It really is probably nothing anybody's interested in, but see if a couple people come in. I just nothing even to do with Ernie or the community. Um, I'm sure if enough people come in, they'll ask, and that'll come up. Can you guys hear me okay? Sarah, can you hear me okay? Should I turn this up or test? Can you guys the mic is okay, right? You guys can hear me okay. All right, good. Um yeah, this is not even so yeah, I'm watching okay, so hopefully this I got it on my laptop here so I could see things. But oh thank you, Sarah. I so my daughter got a I am sure this is weird to some people. My daughter got a pet rat. Her first pet that she was responsible for and had to take care of herself. And I thought I had a pet rat when I was a kid, and I was surprised at how smart and fun it was. A lot more fun than the gerbil. Gerbils are cool. I'm not hating on anybody's pick of rodent, but I liked the rat. And my daughter asked for a rat. It wasn't even my pick. She was like, "Oh, rats are cool. I want a rat." My daughter was like, I don't know. I don't know if you call it goth. She likes Slipknot. So she got a rat, you know, about 3 years ago. Daisy. Rat's name is Daisy. I'm doxing Daisy. But Daisy has passed on, so I don't think doxing her is um, a big deal. But it's they only 2 years, but it hurt. It hurt to watch her pass away, and I'm watching my daughter, and I'm trying to. I'm afraid, like is she dealing with the grief appropriately? Um, and she's at an age where maybe you guys remember, like you hit a certain age and you don't want to show too much emotion in front of your parents. You feel weird if you act, I guess, too excited. Like that's immature. I don't know. So I guess she's at that age and she really doesn't want to show any kind of strong emotion. So I'm worried that maybe she feels more loss and she's not showing that, and I can't comfort her, and just the sadness of it. And it's really, I get it. It's not. I mean, there's people on here with. Sorry, I'm trying to watch. Yeah, a lot of people, the rat tail really gets to them and stuff. It is like this acquired. I remember when I brought mine home as a kid. My mom. And so to be fair, Daisy was a feeder rat from PetSmart, right? Like this rat wasn't supposed to live very long. They only have like a 2 to 4 year life expectancy. Um, and this was a feeder rat that was probably already 6 months old and was going to feed somebody's snake or Hi, Dodie. Dodie, right? I hope I'm saying that appropriately. But yeah. So that's just weighing on me, and that's kind of happening real time in real life. So I'm also there was also we were just trying to make Daisy comfortable, and Serenity had made it clear that she didn't want um, Daisy to. She didn't want to find Daisy, so she wanted me to get there first. So I'm trying to race home to make sure I beat the bus, and um, so real life is happening, right? Like, so I caught what I could, here and there on YouTube, but that also, and part of what I wanted to bring up was that really put it's such a little thing, but it put YouTube and it put this whole thing into perspective. Thank you, Butterfly. When real life hits, even on a level like this, like I'm sure there's so many people like, dude, it's a rat. I had it for 3 years, stop. But when real life hits and you're dealing with a child who's dealing with their emotions, and it really makes you just kind of understand like YouTube, the internet, things like that. Just kind of, this brings up another. This doesn't even. I don't even know if I'm correlating this appropriately, but like it's talking about like Maslow's hierarchy of need, Maslow's, however you pronounce it, and when certain things are certain, uh, when our, I guess, physiological needs aren't being met, right? When we're not getting food or um, security, or that's going to make the next thing, right? I don't really. I guess it's. I just pulled it up so I could see. It's like physiological needs, your basic biological needs such as food, water, shelter, warmth, sleep, and then safety needs, security, stability, protection from danger or harm. And then comes love and belonging, the need for love, affection, being part of a family, or some kind of, even it's just friends that are like family, and then esteem needs and self actualization needs. And if something kind of pulls you back, right? Like with what happened with Daisy, I didn't have things weren't that was important. So like uh YouTube didn't was no longer a need. Like it was I was now dealing with something lower on that triangle that was a more base and more immediate need. So I didn't have anything to think about that this need, which just gave me perspective. And I thought that was just something interesting. But I've sat on it. I've sat on. I haven't really. I haven't talked. I've talked to friends. I've talked to family. I just. I've been processing it in my own head, and just trying to think about how do you when you how would one of you guys deal with grief with one of your children? Do you let them deal with it in their own way? If you if you don't feel that there's enough empathy or attachment to the animal, do you speak on that? Do you communicate that? Or if you think that there's too much attachment, and maybe there's kind of a sensitivity that is almost over emotional, um, or do you just roll with the punches? Do you just kind of roll with it, and that's life? And some kids have a very emotional attachment to their pet, and they it takes them a lot longer to get over it. And some kids, it's you know they see it, they kind of have that moment, and then they put it out, and they don't want anything to do with it anymore. They don't want like a gravestone to go look at, because they don't want to live um, in that grief. I don't know if one's better than the other. um, I don't know if one signifies something, if one is more than the other. But anyway, that was just something that was uh, pertinent to me, and I wanted to, like I put in the description, talk therapy. I just wanted to vocalize it. Um, Eating my garden. I'm gonna go set more traps and take care of more gophers eating my garden. Yeah, it's a funny thing. If um, I eat meat, and if there was rats, or a rat like outside, or like city rats, uh, or like field mice, I'm setting traps. It's different when you feed the rodent, and you take care of. Yeah, nobody. I'm sure you like the tube steak special with some cream sauce from. Let's see. Yeah, it was nothing interesting or about Ernie here. Um, it I mean, I don't even. I'm just trying to get away. Not even get, like, I don't know. There's questions, or there's somebody who wants to ask something. I'm always open to answer it, but I'm not. Um, I haven't talked to Ernie. I haven't, like I said, I haven't done anything um, with YouTube, other than I'll put certain things on to fall asleep to, uh, and it's not always within this community. I think the last thing I was listening to and falling asleep to was something about uh, the Tomb of Gilgamesh. But what's been going on? I haven't really seen much. I haven't heard much. I did the last thing. I talked to Katie. Uh, I like Katie. I thought her lives are fun, and I think her lives are fun, and just like I said, make me laugh. Generally, it's not overly serious, but there's no. I mean, what do you? I guess the thing that would be interesting really would be just to talk about Ernie, and talk about his living situation and what's going on there, and really kind of get into that, and tell everybody how much I support him and how much you guys are so mean to him, or on the flip side, to say how uh, he's, you know, absolutely worthless and should be locked under the jail because he's never going to uh, improve or get better. But I don't really have an extreme. I let me say this because I did want to say this. I went back and read comments from Katie's live, and I saw your comments. A lot of people made certain comments that really made me think, and I have been chewing on them and thinking about them since they were said. Uh, that's that. I'm still, kind of chewing on them and thinking about them. So I don't have like a specific stance. There's a lot of great points. There's a lot of unacceptable behavior, but and I'm trying to give. None of this is my choice. I like what I think or feel about somebody is totally irrelevant. I've said a million times. I'm really an absolute nobody. There's nothing. My opinion is of no importance. Um, there's one thing somebody said that I thought was something that I needed to take into consideration, and it wasn't even. I don't even know if they said this in this way, but what I took from it was how would you how do you feel about somebody using your um, I hate to use this word because I don't have credibility. I'm not, there's nothing but if somebody's taking like, okay, well, people seem to think that Homelander's honest, so maybe I can use that and that makes them think that I'm more honest. That made me think, and I don't want anybody uh, using me or my words or anything to do with me to do something bad or to enable them more to do more bad things. Um, I'm not even saying that's happening. I'm just saying that that comment made me think about that possibility. So no, I don't want that, and I I I'm not okay with that. Um, I do. I want everybody to do. Me. I like. What can I do to do better? Right? Like I got some things done really early. I had some extra time today. Um, there's probably some more things that I can get done, and I wanted to talk, and I hadn't been on here in a while, and I do I do like this. I like being able to talk. I like being able to engage. Um, Good morning, Life's a Dance. Um, but yeah, and there's I've said this before, and I'll say it again. There's only somebody's got to be making more progress than not. There's got to be more progress. Um, but again, the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. If somebody's not, but we're all responsible, right? If we want to build up our triangle of needs, we have to start with, okay, this is what I have to do to establish some kind of regular way to get food, and I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that in a way that doesn't involve robbing ShopRite or some food store. I'm going to uh, mow lawns and then use that to buy some food. But it's not always easy step by step like that. And hopefully there's enough infrastructure and enough nice people to kind of help and support enough to get somebody who really wants to go in that right direction to be able to go in that right direction. But if and I've seen this happen. I've volunteered places where there's just people that are comfortable receiving what they can and staying at a certain level. But I think that also has more to do with their mental health and mental health issues than a desire to kind of stay there. Um, it's I've sat and thought about laziness, right? Is laziness when is laziness not depression or a mental health issue, and when is it like real laziness? Like where's that line? Uh, Ernie's going to motorboat. Oh, see, locksmith. I think about that. Yeah, I mean, you're putting into words things that are running through my head, right? Like you do it in a funny. Locksmith just said, Ernie's going to motorboat old ladies for biscuits and gravy. It's a funny comment, but does is Ernie first the question? I didn't even want. I really, I have to make this short. I don't really didn't want even to. I could see the chat move, right, and I could see how it doesn't move. And if we're not talking about Ernie, it's just sitting still. And when Ernie comes up, it starts moving and there's engagement. And I'm not looking for engagement for like, but I like to read what you guys say and then kind of talk with you. And I back to Locksmith's comment. I don't know, like people are telling me things that I didn't. I guess I thought these things were maybe uh, certain things that were going on, but there's people are telling me things not like behind the scenes, but in chat and on lives. Katie had told me things that I didn't know they were to a level that they were. Like I thought that it was much more, uh, not such a big deal, or two grown adults. I didn't know there was as much manipulation as there uh, people are saying there was, or and then I look. There's people that are so yeah. Mr. Nobody, I don't want to block you, but what did you say? You said something like really douchey. Um, I don't know. I deleted it, and yeah. So there's like two extremes of just you know burn Ernie at the cross or at the stake. Like that's option A, or completely support and enable Ernie, and that's option B. Hi Audrey, how are you? Yeah, or I could just keep blocking you, Mr. Nobody, or one or the other. Right, user delete. So I don't know. I of course I fall more to one side than the other, and I guess it changes at certain times. But can't chat much at the moment. I'm cooking. Oh, I totally understand, Dodie. And a lot of times, like last night, I was listening here and there while I was making dinner. That's one of the things, right? Like while we're doing stuff around the house, that's one of the, and you can't really chat. But so yeah, the only options seem to be these two extremes. But I also get it that a lot of the people that I talk to, they've like they started off in the middle, right? They started off in the middle where they were going to be fair and honest and give a fair and honest thought. Uh, Terry Southern Girl said, Homelander, most of these YouTube creators get donations, super chats, cash apps, and that is how they make money. He does this for entertainment, and these other creators, they put up their cash apps. Terry, I don't that's nothing you say there is, well, I don't know about other creators and their cash apps and donations, but like as far as entertainment, that's something that wait, I got a call. Yeah, that's something that Terry Southern Girl, you said, Homelander, I have never heard Ernie say anything bad about you, actually. He says a lot of good about you. He says you're very smart and enjoys when you come on his channel. I hope I haven't ever said anything like expressly bad or hurtful towards Ernie. I don't believe I have. And I wasn't even about to. What I was about to say is I think there's I always thought there was an element of entertainment here, and I thought that Ernie saying it's all a movie and certain things that he would put in there were made that clear, right? And if somebody's entertaining you and giving you a 5 hour live that does entertain you, and you want to throw $1, a $3, $5, you know, cash app, super chat, whatever for that entertainment, that's between adults. Like that, that's cool. Actually, that's a cool form of entertainment that we all get to, it allows like the little guy to be able to do something they like and they're good at and get a little bit of a reward for that, or pay for that, while the other party gets the entertainment they want. So everybody's happy. I I love that. I'm totally for that, and I support that 1,000%. Um, I have nothing. I think that's what YouTube is here for. So I absolutely support that, and it's great. I don't support hurting people for entertainment and cash apps. I don't. I think there's kind of a certain line where we all know, right? Like, I would hope everybody here is kind of at least over 18, and we can all say, okay, this is where this is going someplace that is either like overly manipulative and taking advantage, or this is this is just wrong to say or do to somebody. Or I'm sorry, honeybee, what comment got deleted? I got something from Indiana Jones and the Temple of Five Heads, Mr. Nobody, Mr. Nobody. That's all I got showing up that was deleted or banned. I don't have any comments from you, honeybee. That was, if it was taken out, there may have been, like, I don't have, everything is default settings. So if there's certain words that YouTube doesn't allow you to use by default, it might have blocked it or stopped it. But I promise you, honeybee, I didn't delete or block any comment. If you could retype it, if there's a word or something that you can pull out, but I promise you, I didn't. Nothing was. I'm guessing that I guess Mr. Nobody doesn't like me and wants to troll me, and I blocked him twice, and I guess the Indiana Jones account was his. I get it. I did the same thing, and I'm not gonna act like in like this karmatic way. I don't, deserve to get it back. I said things to creators. Nick Molina, you're here, and I haven't been able to get your email. And I'm not going to say like, I wouldn't say it, but I'm sorry. I've said things specific, not even like when we were joking on the one lives playing around. But like you said it to me, so why you mess with me in my chat so bad? I'm sorry for that. Why I did it, because I disagreed with you, which was stupid. Hey, Mama T, how are you? Um, and I trolled, and there was a couple of times that are coming to my mind as I'm speaking that I said things trolling that were not at all okay, like in any respect. Even I'm all right, Mama T. I was just talking about um first I was just trying to keep it like I was talking about grief and dealing with having a child that's dealing with grief. That's really not very interesting to everybody, and I understand that. And that's why I said this was going to be really boring, because I was really just hoping to, I don't know, hear how, you guys kind of deal with losing maybe a pet, or deal with grief with your children and things like that, um, or have dealt with it. Um, but that kind of, I just spoke about that really quick. I'll just recap really quick. My daughter got a rat, um, Daisy, like 3 years ago, and Daisy's life came to an end, which 3 years is pretty standard for a rat and pretty good for a feeder rat that was bought from PetSmart. Um, Daisy was just a great pet, part of the family, and dealing with it's so hard watching your child go through any kind of pain, uh, and then trying to comfort a child who's kind of at that age is more difficult. And I just wondered, like, do we let it? Do we just roll with the punches? Everybody deals with grief differently. Do we look for certain red flags, like if our child, if we don't think our child is dealing with that grief in a honeybee? Uh, this is Honeybee said, my children found their father deceased in 2020. They are still in therapy. First of all, I'm sorry. Second of all, um, that's amazing that you got your kids into therapy, um, because so many people. I have a friend who lost his dad. It's similar thing, just dropped dead of a heart attack. My friend was, maybe 7 years old, and that memory is burned into his head. Never had any therapy or anything else. And to you as a parent, to I'm I'm very sorry that happened. I think it's amazing though that you immediately went that route, therapy for your kids. Butterfly said, unfortunately, I don't have pets, but as for grief with my daughter, I can say they need to talk about it and get it out, in my opinion. See, I agree. I agree, Butterfly. And I think there's certain. Kels Bell said, I don't know how old your child is, but at a certain age with my boys, talked about grief, which they had lost with close family when they were in elementary school. So I talked to them about it. Yeah. So my daughter is let's just say somewhere between 12 and 16. And that's kind of an age where your kids, I mean, we're still very, very close. Uh, it's been me and her since she was 6 months old. That's we're close. Like we talk, but I see she has a different way of uh, just kind of processing and dealing with emotions. I think I pick at scabs, or uh, I feel too much, right? Like I will think, and I will uh, maybe even dwell on pain and loss. Um, too sensitive. I think I'm too sensitive. I don't think in this current world, I don't think that's advantageous. So I think my daughter's less sensitive, and she's still sensitive, but she will put things out of her. Uh, she doesn't want. She'll deal with it. She'll process it, and then she wants to move it along. She doesn't want to sit and dwell on it. She just wants to be like, okay, this is what happened. This is how I felt, or this is how I feel about it, and there's nothing I can do about it. So what's next? And I guess I have to respect that. Just because she doesn't do what I do, right? Just because she doesn't dwell on the emotion and kind of pick it apart and tease out every little thing, I know that's not the right thing to do for me. Like, it's not healthy to sit and think about things until you're dwelling on them. So I just have to accept that just because she isn't doing what I do doesn't mean it's wrong or the wrong way, or that somehow she's less empathetic or less caring. Yeah, take her lead. Life's a dance. I think that's great advice. That is actually something I got from her nana, who has really been her mother figure and has raised, you know, some kids. But that sums up a good portion of her advice. Of course, where I came by before. I was talking to family in my support group, my support system, and that was kind of the summation of what she said. She's going to do what she's going to do, and she's going to deal with it how she's going to deal with it. And as long as it's, not like unhealthy, and not, I don't see that she said, pay attention, make sure there's no signs of any kind of, depression, anxiety, like. But Ivy said, my mom passed last May. I still haven't cried. I don't have time alone to grieve. I just go plant things in my garden. That's my coping. Ooh, see, there's a lot there that I grieving alone, because when you really haven't the loss of a parent, I can only imagine, and there's probably some, like, just uh, collapsing to your cold tile floor, ugly crying, and just trying. I don't know if you've had that moment, honeybee, but I would. I hope you get it. I hope that um, you know. I don't think you'll ever get over something like that. You just learn to live with it, right? But I hope you can find a place to grieve alone. And you bring up a point, like, I felt like I needed to support my child, and I never considered the fact that maybe she just needs to grieve alone, you know, and that's okay too. And I like Life's a Dance said, gardening is great therapy. I think gardening is, as a matter of fact, this is stupid and irrelevant to so many people, probably everybody in chat, but my father was a very kind of uptight person. Is He's better now, especially now that weed is legal, but he was pretty uptight. And one of the best things periods of time, he had this kept a tomato garden for several years. He'd come home from a long day of work and he'd stand out there and water that thing for he'd water that garden for like 3 hours. And it calmed him, and it worked better than any medication. This is just me as as a young kid, kind of observing. Um, yeah, that helped him, just coming home and taking that like 2 hours or whatever to take care of his garden after work brought him down to a level where he just would come in the house and he wasn't angry and pissy about his day at work. So I imagine I don't garden, but I imagine gardening is a helpful. I think that's something. So I don't know what mine is. Some people crochet. Uh, there's things that I have done. I like I painted for a little while. Just things that require concentration, that kind of causes you to maybe not get into like a full flow state, but to at least it forces you to be present. And when you do that, like just for like an hour a day, or it becomes just really therapeutic, really helpful. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I guess I just have to let this kind of move how it's going to move. I have to make sure I don't, because now I'm like, oh, my dog is, you know 10, just about to be 11. So now I start thinking about, Butterfly said, my heart aches for you all, and I'm praying and sending positive vibes to anyone that needs them. I Butterfly, I could not agree more. I even like people who troll. As somebody who trolled, I think that the hardest trollers probably have something that hurts inside, or something that's unfulfilled. And I know that the response to what I'm saying would be to troll me harder, but I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you have that and you feel that. And I hope that whatever it is that you need to fill that you find it, because I know what that feels like, and it sucks. It sucks, and it's not a nobody wants to live like that. And anybody who would wish that on somebody else, like, uh-uh. I want to see you feel better. I want to see you get better, and I hope that um, that I could feel better and get better. And it's funny, what I was gonna originally put in this live was, how can we all do better? But I hate speaking for other people. And whenever I say we, I mean me. If I ever say you, I'm saying the royal you, not you. Um, some trolls do troll to hurt others, sadly, because they get off on it. No, Mama T, you're right. But like, what do you think? There's a what I'll tell you what I think, and you can tell me what you think. I think that people troll because, first, it makes the room laugh, right? It's like this class clown thing where I remember in school, some kid was like, it got out that one of the teachers had a miscarriage. One of the kids put his book bag in his shirt, got up in front of the class and said, you know, Miss Smith had a baby and its head popped off, and then he dropped his book bag out of his shirt, and she started crying, and the whole class erupted and roared in laughter. And it gets that kid who did that kind of got that dopamine kick of I just made everybody laugh and everybody likes me, and this was funny. And um, I get it. It was probably like around middle school. His frontal lobe wasn't developed. He wasn't thinking. Let me just read some of the comments. Um, recently, oh my God. Recently, I lost my 14-year-old Maltese, Poppy. Still grieving and sometimes ugly crying. Ugh. And that anyone can do better. First of all, 14 years, that's a member of your family. That is a, yeah. And I'm sorry for that. And that, yeah, that 14-year-old, that's just such a long time, and you'll always feel the pain of that loss. And you're in my prayers. Um, it's hard. Uh, anyone can do better. See, can anyone do better, Butterfly? I believe so, but I don't think everybody does. Only God can judge, and I'll never troll anyone. That is, uh, I aspire to that. I want to say that I will never troll anyone again. Um, and that's amazing that you can say that. Um, Honeybee, I don't troll. Sometimes I do get mad and say so. You guys who don't partake in the trolling, or um, I really admire that. And I haven't trolled since I've gone on panel and talked to people and kind of had this shift of perspective that these are, you know, that you guys are all real people, real feelings, and um, dealing with your own BS, it's just hard stuff in life. And but back to trolls, why do trolls do it? Why do bullies bully? I'm a firm believer that hurt people, and disease is dis-ease. Happy, fulfilled people, like people who um, have filled. Yeah, look, Jesus. I people need Jesus for sure. But happy for what I was trying to say is happy, fulfilled people that have really reached a point in their personal emotional evolution. Um, they're not. Hi, Cray baby. Uh, they're not like they're not getting a, a kickback or a high from hurting somebody, right? Like if you're, or even if you've been at a point in your life where you've been happy and not even happy, let's say joyful, right? Where you've had joy, where you go to sleep happy, you wake up happy, and moments of unhappiness are just that, they're moments, right? You kind of get to exist in a moment of happiness and joy. When you are in that place in your life, you don't I've been in that place in my life, and all I wanted to do was help people, and like you know yeah, I was smart. I wasn't gonna help somebody until I went broke or anything like that. But if I was walking out of a 7-Eleven and I had a few extra bucks on me, just like $2 and change, and there's a guy out there asking for a couple extra bucks, it made me feel good to give that couple extra bucks to him. And that was kind of the mentality that I had at the time of like I didn't need the dopamine fix of like trolling somebody in chat and making chat laugh. to be happy, if that makes sense. I was already happy. I wasn't looking for, you know, I was still like, I would still watch like lolcow documentaries and certain things like that because I just enjoyed the whole. Mama T said, listen, I have had people come after me using my deceased granddaughter's death as a weapon to hurt me. Those are bad people. Also, please, Homelander, be careful what you put on here. Yeah, Mama T, I'm really not trying to. I talk too much, and people have said that, and they're right. I do talk too much, and I trying not to, because I don't want. That's none of that is what you know. I have I've analyzed myself enough that I understand that I have a need, or like a desperate desire to be heard, right? I feel like maybe I've never been heard, maybe as a kid, and I want to be heard. I think a lot of us have that, and so this kind of helps with that. Uh, I think, um, but that's a little self analysis, and I appreciate that advice, Mama T. Um, I'm too serious of a person to find enjoyment in trolls. See, life's a dance. I've been called locksmith. I'm gonna get. I didn't read that, but I do want to read it. Life's a dance. I've been called Mr. Serious. Even like playing like Risk and or Monopoly. Like people called me like the people made the joke to me of why so serious before the Batman movie because I've always been, I guess, too serious, which in when I'm with uh, the right people or I'm in like a healthy relationship, usually people balance, that social aspect, people will balance me out, right? They generally will be like, dude, loosen up, man. Like, and they bring, and that's what you want when you're looking for friends. You don't want to find people that kind of enable your your faults or people who you want people who kind of push you in that right direction. I told my child, look around at your five closest friends. Imagine where they're going to be in 20 years. You're going to be there too. Um, Locksmith said, "There's levels of trolling. I troll to bring to light the fucker that's so obvious it drives you nuts. People fall for." Um, Locksmith, I think there's a reason why you are not blocked in. At least I seem to see you all over, and I think that you use humor um, to get across a serious point. Um, and I think you're very, from what I've noticed, I think you're really good at doing it just right. Like I've said that there's people that are, I've talked about how people have said it about me about being tone deaf, right? And about how sometimes when I get angry or emotional, I don't care about reading the temperature of the room, um, which I'm trying to say I think you're good at. I think you're good at maintaining a certain level of, like I'm not gonna. This is just gonna piss everybody off, and I'm just gonna get blocked, and the point is gonna get completely lost in the insult. And you're able to kind of tone that, and I hope you continue to be able to use humor to get valid points across and not get blocked. And I don't think, sure, I see the little bit like that's we can call that trolling, but there's definitely a purpose and a, you know, uh, I think that actually adds to the, um, even if it's, I think it adds to the flavor and the funness of the room for everybody, even the people that disagree with you. Um, Terry Southern Girl said, I have one life and I want to enjoy it. And I want to make others around me happy. When I pass away, I want everyone to say she enjoyed life to the fullest. Um, I'll tell you something, Terry Southern Girl. I had a just something happened, and I had enough time to think about dying. That I had enough time to think that there's a good chance I'm dying. And in that moment, everything flashes, like they say, you kind of go through your whole life, you think about, but one thing that just would not go away was that I kept thinking this. I wasted my whole life worrying. I wasted my whole life being stuck on these things that happened in the past and worried about the things that are going to happen in the future. And I never took the time to enjoy the damn moment. I still, I'd love to tell you that that experience has changed me. And now I spend every moment enjoying it for the moment it is. That didn't happen. I still am dealing with the same thing of, I'm anxious about the future. I'm depressed about the past. I still would deal with these things. But to what you said about just trying to enjoy, man, if you could figure out how to just be present and enjoy that present moment, whether you're at work pushing a broom and you're just, maybe you feel the sun on your back, maybe you just, feel the broom in your hand, whatever it is, and you just kind of take enjoyment in that present moment. And that's some stuff I'd love to get to, like a place I'd love to get to. Locksmith, I have several accounts. I hate being blocked. Um, I I'm look, I'm sure we all cross lines. None of us are perfect, right? The only perfect person they crucified. Um, and we all maybe we get excited. We say things that do cross the line. But for the most part, I think what you add, even if it's a little insulting, it adds enough humor that, like I said, you're not coming across like you're trying to hurt feelings. You're coming across, to me anyway, in a funny way where you have a point in there, which I think adds to the, people want to read that, right? So you're adding to the person's channel. Um, Secretary Charlotte's Webbing said, "The thing we take for granted, someone else is praying for. Ain't that the truth?" Uh, uh, hey, Secretary, or Charlotte, whatever you'd like to be called. Um, Locksmith said, "I troll my kids. Look, my kids troll me. I troll my kids." This is very true. This is very true. So again, and it's when we use the role troll, when, like most things, trolling is a spectrum, right? So there's a level of a troll. I hate being jump scared, and I know, like, I hate being jump scared, and I after I get jump scared, I get like an adrenaline rush, and it's not a happy one. But that was something I had to, I at a certain age, it just became this joke that everybody was doing, like even uh, at like Christmas, family gatherings, and I had to just swallow that fireball every time I got jump scared. And so what I ended up doing was trying to jump scare them even worse. But then they would get me back anyway. Thank God that's over. Um, your son-in-laws, they're meatheads. That actually makes me happy that you have son-in-laws that you have a relationship with and appreciate. That actually makes me happy, especially the daughter. I like that, and I'm happy for you for that. So it does add to, like, again, this is a question that this whole, I guess, community could talk about, is when does the trolling go too far? Um, but then when is when when are the numbers at their highest, right? When is everybody most interested in what's going on in this part of YouTube? It's when things um, are at their worst, right? Not when they're at their best. It's when when there's a highway run. It's when eventually, if somebody does something from this community that is like just really, really out there, and that's when everything starts. You know, locksmith locksmith said, "It irks me you can buy a tiny home even on Amazon for cheap. You place it on a piece of property in California. You turn what was 400 a year in property tax turns to minimum thousands with fire. Oh, this. So I watched something on YouTube where a guy like built a tree house, and it was a tree house that was totally like a full house. It was awesome, but it was all like self. This whole thing, we could go off on this. The idea that you do anything that like anything you do anything that the what is the one thing that they get like you know um career criminals like the mafia and drug dealers, like big time. If these guys figured out a way to pay their taxes, they probably would get left alone. They always end up getting caught up in like spending large amounts of money that the government didn't get their cut of. So what I was going to say to that is, if you do something and there's no way for the government to make money off of that, it's a problem. And I mean anything. Like, and this is, I believe in. I'm a strong believer in personal. I want, I guess, more government control in like the corporate sector and less in our personal lives. I think if you have a big piece of property and you build a second house there shouldn't be all kinds of added. I can go off on that. I don't think anybody's interested in, but yeah, that's that's wrong, especially with like with the levels of home. Let's just say you own some property and you build like, or you buy one of these like mini homes off of Amazon, and you're going to put it up to help your homeless brother who just got out of rehab get off the street, right? And you have this whole game plan to help. And like we were talking about the hierarchy of needs, the first thing that your brother, this hypothetical brother, is going to need when they get out of rehab is a place to live, food, the physiological, or what is it called? Like, they're physical. They're going to need shelter, food, and water, right? And they can't focus on even getting better unless they have those things. And when obviously they don't care about your physiological needs, and then your safety needs. They need security, stability. This isn't just like a recovering addict. This is truly anybody. Um, And then they could start focusing on that belongingness in their social interactions. They could focus on going to meetings. They could focus on getting a job. But they can't even. They're not even going to think about that if they don't have a place to rest their head and something to put in their belly. So the idea that, like, getting that to me is a problem in a world filled with homeless. I would never known if I didn't see your. I guess I hit my phone or something or my dog stepped on it. Um, I don't know where I wouldn't have known. Thank you, Locksmith, if I didn't see your comment there. Uh, but my Wi-Fi bill. I don't have a Wi-Fi bill. I have a couple of squirrels that run on wheels and keep it going. Stop my Wi-Fi. I don't know where I left off or where I dropped out there, but I was just saying to what you were saying, Locksmith, about being able to put something up on your property to help somebody. Like if I was saying, if you had like a brother who just got out of rehab and I was going over like the hierarchy of needs again. You can't start thinking about getting better and fixing your uh, addictions or mental health issues, whatever they might be. It could be somebody who's paranoid, schizophrenic, who's a former or a felon, anything. And you buy one of these Amazon homes, put it on your property, and your plan is just to establish that physiological needs and security needs, right? You're going to make sure he has food, water, place to stay, and now he can focus on his social needs, like getting a job, going to meetings, and those things. But now the government's going to step in and say, well, you have to pay this, this, and this if you want to put this little thing on your property. And now I think the one thing that I said that probably wasn't heard is that a lot of us can say, well, that's not our problem, right? It's not our problem to make people who are screw ups be better. Because one of the things I said was, in a world where we make it easier to fail than succeed, there's a problem, and we need to start looking at that and what we're doing wrong. And the reason why that is an issue for all of us, because if I didn't say I was going to help. I'm making an off-grid vacation home. No, 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 please. None of that was about locksmith. It was just a hypothetical. Uh, not even saying locksmith has a brother or he's even a man. I don't know anything. It was just a hypothetical, and an off-grid vacation home would be awesome. But to that, what I was saying is that if the truth is, if we don't if we don't help people, it's more expensive and problematic to us not to help people, because when you get people driving around without car insurance, when you get people hooked on drug, car insurance, if some people are driving around without a license, without car insurance, then our car insurance prices go up. If you get, you get people breaking into homes to support their habits, your homeowners prices go down. If and on it goes. So it becomes a systemic problem. So it's better to make it easier for people to succeed. That's better for just society as a whole. I think that's been established, right? I don't have to go over that. But then why make it so hard? Like off-grid living, which is where a lot of people. I watch this poor guy. I don't know his channel because I'd love to share it. That's what he does. He finds like these rundown homes and he goes in. I've never seen a person work so hard. And he will go into these homes that are just falling apart and he restores them almost entirely by himself. And it's amazing. And he built a log cabin, and it was like he bought a claim of land, like a gold claim of land or whatever, and he was off by and this is literally the middle of nowhere. There's nothing but trees and snow, and he was off his claim. Like he built his cabin a little bit off his claim, and they made him burn the whole thing down because he was off his claim. Like it wasn't on his claim or whatever. It was really sad, and he moved on from it, but at what point do you draw the line? You have individuals like Ernie that will take advantage of the system and get as much as they can out of it without putting nothing into it. Um, yeah, this is a, a point that we're at in our. There's issues with like psychology or psychiatry, and um, we don't have the ability to fix certain. Um, there's a quote from the Game of Thrones books, which is funny. I was walking my dog and I was thinking, this feels like the Game of Thrones or the Game of Houses, right? Like if you're attached to this house, then all these houses want to kill you, and it's just something that I thought of. But I think it's from the Game of Thrones. But essentially, it said that there's some people that need help all the time, um, and just because they're always going to need help doesn't mean that they're not worth helping. That being said, I know that's not what you're talking about. You're talking about somebody who is fully capable of uh, getting on their feet and taking care of themselves, and um, they just stay in that area where they can continue to get and take advantage of things. Um, and it sucks we can't just give a pill that changes the brain chemistry, or even these little, like a sci-fi movie where they take a pill and these little nanobots reconstruct the brain so that these personality disorders are no longer a thing, and now they have a productive working brain and they can achieve their full potential. um, so yeah, when do you stop helping people, or when I don't know. That's a good question, and I'm glad that I don't have to make that choice because it's probably difficult. Um, but does there need to be a line where, yeah, because first of all, it's not good. Yeah, one of the best things, or one of the worst things for somebody is to not have like a schedule, right? A schedule, like you get up at this time, you do, you go to work, you come home. When you lose that schedule and you're just kind of meandering like a teenager or whatever, that's just not good for your mental health. Most people are going to slip into some kind of depression. And uh, so when you help somebody to the point that you're doing everything for them and they already have like a pre-existing condition going on, you are now, not only are you not helping, you're making it worse, uh, because that person needs to be doing something. I like what I would. This is just shooting from the hip, just in a conversation with you, locksmith. I don't even know who's here or how many people are here, but I would like have people have to show up to almost like an unemployment type thing. They had you take like an ASVAB in high school, things like that. You have these people take just like a test that shows a personality type, and it shows certain things that they would enjoy and be good at, and then you tell them like, look, if you want help with housing and you want help with, if you want to keep your help with housing and you want help with food, then you need to uh, show up every day for 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, from 9 to 3 at this class where you do this thing and learn this skill that is based on the test that they took. That is something that they'll be good at and interested in. That should be a no-brainer, actually. It's odd to me that that hasn't. I'm sure there's been iterations of that on some level at some point. I don't know. I guess there's probably a lot of bureaucracy that gets in the way, right? Isn't it really government that kind of gets too bloated and screws things up like that, and they can't be streamlined, because that sounds very easy, and if even if there's just no way that you can't make that a completely feasible, and then the person finds structure. They're getting up. Their brain chemistry is kind of starting kicking in the right direction. They're making friends, building relationships, uh, going to this place every day, and helps them get better. That just seems. I'm not smart enough to figure out how to do that, but I would think that somebody who is smart enough would have gotten that done by now. But and then is there a point where we just kind of kick people to the streets? Uh, no, I don't think there is. I think uh, there's a point where like we got rid of all the mental institutions, or most of them. There seems to be nothing in between now. Um, I think there has to be a place where people who can't be put into society, there's a place where and not like the one that Geraldo Rivera was, not like those 80s institutions, like real institutions where people get proper care. And yeah, there should be something like that. Because when we've seen what happens, you kick people to the street, they just end up laying in front of your favorite outlet store asking for money, and you know, how that ends up. Anyway, thank you guys so much. I just wanted to come on and vent and talk about a couple things, just to, I don't know, it was just therapeutic for me. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate the conversation. Thank you, Locksmith. Thank you guys that were here just for listening. and venting with me and just kind of allowing me to have this social interaction that I felt like I needed at that moment. I appreciate you guys very much. I hope you all have the best day, the best week, and stay positive. Love you guys. Appreciate it. Have a wonderful day. Friday. Enjoy the weekend. Enjoy the Friday. Friday. Just be happy. Enjoy the moment. Appreciate you guys so much. Thank you.